And I'm going to begin with sharing my screen and showing you how to build a course in your LMS. So um, I do not have every learning management system to demonstrate. I'm sorry. What I do have, Brandon, are you able to help that person enter the?
Yeah, I approved it, so they should come in. Yep, there you go.
Thank you.
No problem.
So what we do have here at OLI is a Canvas shell. So I can show you what it looks like in Canvas. It's different for a little bit different for Blackboard and for Moodle and for Brightspace in terms of the setup. But the actual once your Taurus link is established, the process is the same. And you'll see that I've got this RealChem course here. And when I'm in it, I have added Taurus to the navigation menu. This is something that we can help you arrange for if you have Canvas. You can also add Taurus and RealChem as an assignment, and they both lead to the same place. When you click this link, what it does is it opens up in a new tab, and the very first time you as an instructor are clicking that link, it is a generic connection to the Taurus system. And what it will do is it will recognize that you are a person who is meant to be in the RealChem community. And instead of showing you all of the courses that you could build from and cluttering up your view, we have trimmed it down to just the RealChem materials. So all you're going to need to do is choose your RealChem course. You'll give it a name. Yeah, is Bill, is it okay if I call you Bill? Is that
Yep. Yeah, that's good.
Bill? How you doing?
Um,
How can I
I
help?
don't know if I have been registered with a course.
Yeah,
How do we
this
know
is
that?
remind me what institution you're teaching?
East Stroudsburg University.
Okay, so East Stroudsburg has an LMS integration. Remind me, is it Canvas?
No, it's um, Brightspace.
Brightspace. Okay. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to add a Taurus link. I have instructions that I can share out after this. Or you could ask your colleagues who have done this before. But in Brightspace, you'll add a Taurus link just like this one, and it will open up that same window that I just demonstrated with the course setup button. And
Okay.
Taurus will recognize that you are coming in through the East Stroudsburg LMS, and it will present to you your options for adding your course. And you need to make this connection in however many course shells you're teaching for the fall.
Right.
If you're teaching two, you'll need to do it twice.
So you don't register for the program outside of our LMS?
Not if you are delivering in an LMS. So if
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay.
the platform works either way. It's an either or, not a both.
Okay.
If you're delivering via your LMS, we arrange for your LMS to be added to that community so that the visibility is the same as the one that you saw when I clicked through, and it
Right.
just shows you the RealChem. The other one, for anybody else on the call who is not using an LMS, though most are, we call that direct delivery, and we will add you your actual user account, which you do need to have ahead of time. We will add
Okay.
your user.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we'll add the user account to the community so that somebody who is building their course via the Taurus website instead of via their learning management system would see the same view.
Right. Yeah, that's a little different than my other ones. So that's why I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
thank you.
Yeah, most tools don't have the sort of either or. They're either an LMS tool or they're a web tool.
Right.
So you'll add any course name that you like, whatever you want the students to see. If you're teaching multiple sections, it is a good idea to differentiate them here um, with some sort of unique identifier. This might be, the O3 course, for example. You might, I have somebody who yesterday was teaching a -03 and a -06. That's how their CRN numbers were differing. So this might be, Gen Chem 1-03. You can just put in anything you like here. This is not exposed. This course section number is not exposed to students. It's just for record keeping. And it just has to be populated with something. You can also choose, again, this does not govern anything at the moment. The My Class Meets button, it doesn't govern anything technically. It's just for record keeping, but in the future, we are going to connect some platform features with this selector. So most folks are going to list things as either only in person or both in person and online. I'll just choose in person. And then you choose the days of the week that your class will meet, either synchronously in person or online. The start date, let's go with today, and your end date, we'll go with 12. Excuse me, 12:09. And the scheduling preferred time is when you want your submission times to be assigned to the due dates. I'll show you in the scheduling interface where this time here gets picked up and applied automatically to things. And that's it. So off the shelf, the course is now created. There are no adjustments made, but it really only takes 30 seconds to input those fields, and now you've got a course. And let me show you what this looks like again. Now that we've created it, I'll close this window, and let me just refresh this page here in Canvas. And now, the next time I click this link, it takes me to the course. This is the instructor view. I'm here you can see at the top, I'm on the manage page where I have several controls. I can see who the instructors are. I can change some settings related to the curriculum. I can do some management of the course, like change the title and the dates. I can see that it's got a required survey and that students can take notes on all of the pages and the discussions. And then you see here that we've got some scoring related controls. So if something has a manual score, then you would find it here with a notification number next to it, alerting you to the fact that there is some stuff that needs your attention. I don't think this course has any of those, so I'm pretty sure that that's not something you need to worry about. The assessment scores is where you can go to view the entire scorebook. The Manage LMS Gradebook, I will show you real quickly, is a place where you can test your connection. And you can see that the connection was a success. You can export your gradebook as a CSV. Update line items is the thing I wanted to tell you about. Update line items is the button that pushes everything that generates a score into your LMS gradebook automatically ahead of time. So if you want to set up your gradebook and you have some manipulations you would like to do, like you would like to do a custom weighting, or you want to move them into a particular bucket and designate it as practice, unscored activities, you can do all that ahead of time by pushing the update line LMS line items button. Again, this is under the manage area at the bottom where we have scored items. So if you don't push this, then what happens is items are pushed to your LMS gradebook as students encounter them and generate scores. That is usually in the order that they occur in the course and are usually determined by your schedule that I'll show you how to apply later. But if you leave your material open, which many folks do as practice material, then the students can do things out of order, and that will result in columns in your gradebook being created and populated in whatever order the students have determined by their activities. And the last thing to point out here is that once in a while, there are hiccups in the internet. We can't control when your LMS goes offline, for example, and there may be an inability for the scores to sync properly. That will be noted here, and you can come in here and one assessment at a time synchronize those scores. Additionally, in that scored items area is you can view a log of the scores that failed to sync, and they will be here in a list, and you can retry them as a batch. What the system does is it tries 5 times before it is deemed a failure, and then is set up here as a notifiable item for you to take care of. All right, so let's get into what I would recommend as the order of operations for the things that you might need to take care of to customize your course. The first thing would be this customized content, which is again on the Manage tab under Curriculum. Customized content is where you come in and you rearrange or remove material. We can also add material. It is very common for Real Chem instructors to take pieces of Real Chem 2 and insert them into their Real Chem 1 curriculum, and vice versa. This is not meant to be the absolute stamp that you must use. This is just like I mentioned earlier, the off-the-shelf template, and you are welcome to move things around. These are all draggable and droppable, these units, so you can move them wherever you like. You can remove them by using the remove button. If you were to remove something and then save it and then realize maybe I shouldn't have removed that, it can always be added back. None of this is permanent. And I would recommend that you reach out if you need to do a remix with any of the Real Chem 2 materials, because this add materials button is one where we try to minimize what is in that add materials area in order to minimize confusion and clutter. And so it would be really helpful to you if we work together to work through that process. So like I mentioned earlier, after this, this is not the end of our journey together. Reach out and we will jump on a Zoom with you and walk through tailoring your material exactly the way you need it. If you need to combine any of the materials from the 2 courses. All right, so I'm going to hit cancel there and head back out to the Manage page. Note, of course, that I didn't mention it explicitly yet, but you'll need to save your changes. They are not automatically saved with each move that you make. Okay, so the reason that you want to customize the scope and sequence of your material first is so that you can then apply a schedule to it, because the scheduling tool is not adaptive to changes in the order of the content. So you'll want to ensure that your content is in the order that you want it. And then you will, on that Manage page, click Scheduling and Assessment Activity or Assessment Settings to reach this interface, which is the scheduling tool. This is what we tend to call the soft scheduler. What it will do is it will take the start and end dates that you apply, and it will apply suggested read by dates for the students to follow along at an appropriate pace. They are not due dates, and they do not govern any of the access that the students have. They are simply to ensure that the system is communicating with the students, what the right pace is to keep up. Let me show you what the course looks like without those dates in place, by the way. So we're going to preview this as a student. It's going to open up in a new tab. This is what the course will look like to a student. They'll land on the home page. They'll have this initial welcome message with 2 buttons. Start the course means go to page 1. Discover content means show me all of the material in the course and I will choose where to go. This discover content is going to take them over here to this learn page, which learn is essentially quote unquote the book. It's the materials. So if your students are ever saying, you know, where is the stuff? Learn is where you direct them. Okay. When there is no schedule, you've got this agenda, but it's really just based on what's coming up. So the student hasn't done unit 1, you know, with its modules, and unit 2 with its modules. So they're listed here, but there are no dates. I will show you what happens when I add those dates and how this changes. Okay, so we are here and we're going to head back to scheduling and assessment settings, and we're going to add, by clicking set the schedule button, we're going to add the initial soft schedule. So I recommend that you actually choose all of these days of the week. Then they will all be under consideration for that pacing calendar that the students are presented with. And then on the second page, we have this new tool that can automatically add due dates to your assessments. I would not recommend you use this yet. In our next release, we are planning to have a sort of range omission setting so that you can tell it when not to schedule things. And today, it doesn't do that. It counts every day as fair game between the start date and the end date. And that is unfortunately going to include Thanksgiving week. And if you have a fall break, you won't be able to tell it don't schedule during fall break. And then you're going to need to go in and you're going to need to move your dates anyway. So as long as you're going to have to move your dates anyway, I would recommend reducing your frustration and just not having the tool set your dates. So I would suggest saying, do not set my assessment due dates, go in and do that manually and click complete. And now what we've got is based on the start and end date, we've got this Gantt chart style range for each week, or I should say for each unit, based on the number of pages that are in each. So you can see at the top, we've got weeks 1 through 19. But notice that it is taking into account the materials at the end that are not really learning materials. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove these from the schedule, and you will see that all of the other dates adjust to fill in the gaps. So we don't want students to worry about scheduling the appendices. So these are going to be removed. They don't care about those. Those are not materials that they have to work through. Same goes for the glossary. And the instructor only resources don't need to be scheduled. And the acknowledgements doesn't need to be rescheduled. And so now everything else has filled in the gaps. And what's cool about this is that you can take them and you can move them wherever you like. And as you move them, when you click on them and as you move them, you'll notice here at the bottom that the dates are visible, and they will change with the changes that you make. So you can see that this was running from 9/16 to 10/2, and I moved it back to where it was. And it's 9/10 to 9/27. And you can move them as you see fit, but you can also expand and contract them. If you would like them to overlap, you can see how I've reached the end of the bar here, and my cursor changed. And when I click and drag, I can expand this. And again, the dates at the bottom in that white bar are adjusting to the dates on the calendar. So I can see exactly when these are. So you have a lot of control over this. You can also, if you like, you can dig in. You can manually click into each one and see the modules and the pages that are inside. And you can click into the modules and see the pages that are in there. But additionally, you can go up here and expand and collapse everything. So if you expand all, now you see all the pages in the course and where they sit. And what's really cool is that you can select these manually, and you can change this from a suggested date to a due date. And if you choose that due by, that's where it picks up the 11:59 that you said at the beginning. So if most folks want their stuff to be due at midnight. But if you choose that you prefer things to be due right before class, maybe you have a 2 p.m. Lecture, and you want things to be finished by 1:59 p.m., then you can change that to 1:59, and every time you're in this interface and you change something to a due date, it will pick up that 1:59 automatically, and you don't have to fill it in. So you would need to save this. Everything needs to be saved. Otherwise, it would be jumping around in the student interface every time you made one of these changes. So you make all of your changes and then you save them. If you want, you can also make things in-class activities, and the student interface will adapt to that and let the students know that on this date they can expect to be doing this as a group activity or as an in-class activity with the instructor. All right, so I'm going to save these changes. The agenda visibility, I would recommend you leave it on. That is that block on the home page that we saw in the student interface. Now that we've saved this schedule, I'll go back and show you what that looked like, or how it has changed, what it looks like now. So now as a student, nothing, I have no upcoming assignments because they are not scheduled. But what we have now is in the agenda, we've got schedules applied to each of the containers. Okay, so you can see what type of material it is and how long you have to finish it, and it just guides you and helps you stay on track as a student. You can also click this view full schedule, and that will take you over here to the schedule page, which just puts everything in one long list. So now you've got everything should be read by a certain date, and you will notice that it's all just read by. There are no due dates because we haven't set any due dates yet. If and when we do set due dates, this will change from read by to due by. All right. So how are we doing? We've got some, I see that the chat has been going on. Is there anything that you'd like me to address that hasn't been addressed yet?
Hal, I do have a question.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what's going on. My LMS
Okay.
had reached out to you guys, I think yesterday, a couple of days ago. And I was wondering if I'm at WVU. I was wondering if if this would come through before we start because I don't see it on my
Yeah,
LMS.
that is going to be governed by your LMS admins. They sent us their technical audit last month, and we filled that out and sent it back for their approval. So what I'll do is I'll check on that process and see if I've heard back from them yet.
Okay, they should have sent you something yesterday because I reached out and because we're getting close to crunch time. They had
Okay.
sent you something.
Okay, cool. I will check on that.
Do you know if it's gonna be? So we have like 2 weeks. Do you know if that's enough time to get this done?
Oh yeah, this whole thing only takes about an hour back and
Okay.
forth between your LMS admin and myself,
Okay.
at the most.
Because we've been going on this for like 3 months. So, okay.
Yeah, that it's we're in a sort of ball is in their court position at this moment, where we're waiting on them to approve it. And once it's been approved, we'll be able to move forward with it, and I'll help you with that.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
You got it.
I also had a question. I know the material has been used at Broward College before by another faculty, but when I went to the course and I was trying to look for as like existing activity or external learning tool, I couldn't find by the name of Taurus, and I was wondering what would be the name. So what should I search for? How should I bring it to the course?
Most folks have been labeling it OLI Taurus as the tool name. in their LMS. What, remind me what institution?
Broward College. Broward College. Broward College.
Oh,
They-
Broward. Okay. Yeah. I think that they
And where should I look for it? Under like the existing activities or external learning tools?
probably external learning tools. What LMS is it?
It's Brightspace or D2L.
Okay. I can follow up with you after the meeting. We have an instructor's article for how to add a link in Brightspace.
Thank you.
Sure, once it's been added as a tool. So that's where you are. You've got it, you know, it's added as a tool, and you just need to be able to find it in the interface.
Can you send that to me too, Hal?
Yeah, absolutely. Here, you know what? Why don't I, this is let me give you the generic link that has all of them, and everybody can select the one that applies to them. 1 second. Okay, so I will drop this into the chat. Okay, so this page has the instructions for Canvas, Brightspace, Blackboard, and Moodle. If you have something different, we can work with you, but I don't think we've got anybody using Real Chem that does not use those, one of the big four. So getting back to your manage page, we have gone over whether you want to do your update line items first thing. That's up to you, whether you need to do your customization in your gradebook, in your LMS first, or whether you want it to just happen naturally. We have gone over the customization of the content in that you can move and remove things. Just a heads up that when I say remove materials, I'm only talking about containers. We do not have the ability to edit the content or remove questions at this point. That is a very, very common feature request that we are working on. It's in the design phase right now, and we will be rolling out something eventually that lets people control the questions that are in their assessments. But for now, the ability to remove something is really just a unit or a module or a page within a module. So that was customizing content. And then we're working now on scheduling and assessment settings. So we've set a soft schedule, and now we've got this tab for assessment settings. The reason that I want to work through this order of operations is because if you were to come to assessment settings first and add some due dates, and then you decided, you know what, I've got my assessments the way I want. Now I'm going to set up my reading schedule, my sort of soft schedule, and you came back here and you hit clear. This will clear all of the scheduling, including those assessment dates that you had set up manually over here. So that's why I recommend that this be the last thing that you set up in your major, setup steps. So you'll check on your gradebook if you're doing LMS integration. You will set up your soft schedule here if you want to use it. It is not required by any means. And then last, I would recommend you do the assessment settings. So let's go over those. The assessments are listed in the order that they appear. You'll notice that they are paginated. We've got different pages here to take you through them. It is so that the interface does not become overwhelming. And there are only 10 at a time. But the really cool thing is that we have a bulk application tool that I will show you last. But I wanted to let you know that as you make changes here, you can apply them to everything so that you don't have to come in and tweak every setting on every one of these 43 assessments manually. That can get way too tedious. So what I'll show you is we've got row 1, basic concepts of matter and energy module, checkpoint. You can add a due date. Let's say it's today at 11:59 p.m. or 11:37 p.m. Or I'm sorry, that's when it opens, and then we will make it due tomorrow at 11:39 p.m. And so now we've got or in 2 days, we've got an availability date and a due date. If it doesn't have a date, then it is always available. That means that the students can enter and access it immediately. You can control the number of attempts that your students will have. By default, everything is 3, and that's because for all of the questions in the assessments, there is a minimum of 3 hard-coded questions if they are hard-coded. We have lots of questions in our pools, our activity banks that have systematically generated dynamic variables, and they can be, they can generate essentially an infinite number of questions, but not every question has dynamic variables in them. And so the checkpoints have a minimum of 3 questions that could be delivered at any particular point, at any particular place in position in the assessment. So we have 3 attempts, but you can increase this to any number, including unlimited. But 3 is the default. You're welcome to change it. Most folks do not put a time limit on their assessments, but it is the most common number would be a 60-minute time limit if they're going to impose one. The late policy is how you would like to treat students who submit their materials late. Do you want to allow it? Or do you want to disallow it? Or do you want to allow a late submission, but not a late start, meaning they can't start it if the due date is already passed? The default is the best scoring strategy. So they would, on multiple attempts, they would get their highest score as the score of record, but you can change that to average or last. If you do have a due date, that's when the grace period applies. This is a grace period in minutes. Oh, and by the way, you can hover over these headers and get a short description of what they are essentially. So why don't we add a grace period of 5 minutes? Retake mode is how the material behaves on multiple attempts. So in targeted retake mode, the students only have to answer questions that they got wrong the first time. They automatically get credit for the ones that they answered correctly. This was actually created, this feature was created specifically for chemistry because there is so much math and formula entry that we didn't want students who were really working hard to get it 100% to be frustrated by the need to answer every question every time when they had already demonstrated that they can get that correct. So, if a checkpoint has 15 questions and they get 14 right and they really want that 100%, then in targeted retake mode, they only have to answer that one incorrect question the next time. If you don't want to use targeted retake mode, you can change it over to normal. Presentation mode is whether it is one scrollable document, which is traditional. So all the questions on one page and at the bottom, a submit button, or one at a time, where they answer one question and it's like a carousel. They answer it and it moves on to the next one. Scoring mode is whether you want to apply the score after they have finished the entire thing, or let them know after every question whether it was right or wrong. The main use case for this is when you're not really using the assessments as formal assessments. You're using them as practice and giving them credit for a certain amount of participation and a certain amount of quality to their participation. So if you go in and you get an 80% on all of the assessments, then you get 10 bonus points this semester, because you're really trying to encourage them to use this as practice for each of your offline assessments, things that you're going to deliver in class, for example. Well, if you use score at the end, then they have to go through the entire thing and get their score determined at the end. But if you choose score as you go, then they can work until they get their 80%, and then they can move on to their next task. Saves them some time. Up to you how you want to do that. But if it's score as you go, you should know that the attempts no longer apply to the entire assessment. They apply to the question. So score as you go means you get question 1 and you have 3 bites at question 1. And once you have gotten it right, you go on to question 2. And once you've gotten that right, you go on to question 3. So the attempts are sort of decoupled from the full assessment, and they pertain really just to the questions. Any question about how that works? That one is a little complicated, and I want to make sure that I explained it properly. Okay. Replacement is the setting for how it handles multiple attempts per question, but this is really for the questions that have dynamic variables in them. So the dynamic variable questions, should they be the same for all attempts? So the student has to work the same question over and over, or do the dynamic questions regenerate with new variables? Feedback is whether students can see their feedback in between multiple attempts. Answers is whether students can review their answers between multiple attempts. Allow is the typical default. You can, of course, change that. Password, I would only recommend you use if you are proctoring and there's good reason to prevent students from accessing without one. We want to reduce the number of hurdles for the students, so there's no reason to add a password if it's got a start and an end date that are meaningful. But if you want to make sure that it's being that it's this student who is taking the assessment, then passwords can be effective there. Exceptions are where you will see the number of exceptions that you have set up for your students here as a numeral, and then you can click in and review them or add new ones. It only works if there are students in the course. So I'm sorry, this is a brand new demo course that has no students, so I can't demonstrate it. But essentially, you are setting up a per student set of parameters for an assessment. So you can do anything from the availability dates and the due dates for that student down to, giving them more attempts or a longer time limit, for example. And then the last thing is a new feature that we have for allowing hints. Lots of questions have hints in them because the question delivery model pulls from the same place, whether it's practice material or whether it's scored assessment material. And so most questions will have hints. And if you want to allow hints during the scored, the checkpoints, you can, and that's up to you. But as I mentioned earlier, when you change the settings, if you would like these settings to be applied to everything, you can use the bulk setting tool up here. So I've made several changes along the way, and I'm going to choose this assessment as the source for the propagation of those settings to all the others. So I'm going to choose to confirm that. And now all of the settings that I have changed have been sent to all of the other assessments, not just on this page, but on all the pages. The only exceptions are the availability and due dates, because that would not be convenient. You don't want to overwrite availability and due dates automatically. And the same for exceptions. When you set an exception, the bulk apply is not going to apply to the exceptions. All right, so that was lots of stuff. Any questions about how the assessment settings work?
Can I go back to my original question? I'm sorry. Under the course 2, I cannot find the LTI or LI Taurus.
And this is Broward, you said?
Broward looks like it's not there. Do you have, or how can I set an appointment with you? Try to find out who would be the right person to contact.
Second. So Broward, it was set up by somebody whose address, here's the email address of the person who created the integration. I will put that in the chat, and you can reach out to that person directly if you like.
Thank you.
But also, here is my scheduler, and we can it is not copying. 1 second. Why can I not copy? There we go. This is my scheduler, so you can set up some time to run through a Zoom with me. But you might need to reach out to whoever Jay Leon is to ensure that you have visibility. That's not something that is visible to us on our end. We can't see what the settings are within your LMS. So it may just be something that needs to be activated for you. I'm not sure. It's possible that they set it up as a course level integration in the past instead of a global integration. So that might be why
It's
you're not seeing it.
possible because it's not there. Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right. Exceptions, moving on. I'm sorry if there are no other questions. If there are questions, feel free to stop me. No problem at all. Exceptions is where you will see the exceptions that have been set, but also where you can set up exceptions when you have a student in your course, which is the first thing that you must select in order to get the process going. You would click Add New, you would choose the student, and then you would it would apply to whatever assessment you have chosen here in the selector. Advanced gating is for if you need to do conditional access to any of the materials. This is if you want to add, like if you wanted to close any of the materials early, you would add a gate to something. So you choose the target for that for your settings. Let's say that you don't want them to have access to gases right away. You would schedule it between certain dates, and you would say that the start date is, on the 26th at 11 in the morning. And now students would not be able to access gases until August 26th. You can also, there are a few other types of gates. You can set up gates for, only accessing things if they finish something else, only accessing something if they start something else, etc. This is another one of those, it is advanced. It is one of those tools that I recommend you only use if you have good reason. When a student has a book, typically they can, you can't control them being able to see any of the units in the book. The default behavior in an OLI Taurus course is the same. We give students access to everything by default, and then let you control what they can and cannot see when. All right. So when it comes time to get students started, there are two methods. If you are an LMS delivery school, then this link is all you need. Once the course has been added, you saw at the beginning, that link was just a generic link that took me to the course setup tool. If a student were to click that before you did, it would say that it is not yet configured. But now that it is configured, when a student clicks that, it is going to take them to this page. They will reach the homepage for the course, and they'll be prompted with like the platform terms and conditions that they'll need to accept. And if there is a fee on the course because you're not participating in the research project, then there will be a banner here with a grace period reminder that they have to pay within, I think it's 14 days of the course beginning. But that grace period does not limit anything. The course is fully accessible. All of their data is preserved. if they were to go, if they were to expire, if that grace period were to expire without payment, then the student would have the inability to access the material until they submit payment. But when they do, everything is reconstituted the way it was before. There's no loss of data. There's no loss of any privileges or anything. Just a heads up that nothing like that will ever happen with the students. And if there is no fee, then there will not be any prompt for any kind of payment for the students at all. The other points in this navigation menu to show you, we've looked at home and we've looked at learn. Although I haven't shown you everything, I haven't shown you learn yet. Now that I'm here, learn is where the students will be able to navigate the course. They can, each of these rows is a unit, as you can see here, and in the unit we've got different tiles that point to different spots. So if it is we've started with an intro for this unit. It helps orient the student to why this is important. It helps contextualize, the fact that chemistry actually has meaning to their world and why they should care about this. And we've developed a lot of activities that help with that context as well. But each of the units is going to have an intro video like that helps them understand a little bit about why they're learning this material and how it applies to the real world that they live in. And then we've got pages. Introduction pages typically don't sit inside of a module container. So they're here at what we call the top level of the unit. We've got an intro page, how to use AI in Real Chem. Everybody should be aware that this is going to be in all of the courses, so you can refer to it yourself and point your students to it so that it can answer their questions about how the AI tools work. And then there are modules, and modules are containers that contain further pages. So you will see that this module 1, the basic concepts of matter and energy, has 10 pages. It's got an assessment that is due August 7th. With it'll take approximately 24 minutes based on the data that we have about how long students take. And here are the rest of the pages within the unit, or I'm sorry, within the module. And then of course you can collapse that. But if you don't like this view, this is gallery view. You can choose outline view, and outline view, you can expand all, and now you'll see the full scope and sequence of the course laid out in order. As a student finishes a page, they will return and find that there is a green check mark associated with it so that they can see what they have done and what they have not done. Most instructors will give some sort of credit for accomplishing a certain amount of practice in the course. So if you tell the students, you have to do 75% of module 2 in order to get credit for it, this is how they will know how much they have done. Of course, on the homepage, they have a full course progress that will help them keep up with the material as well. Notes is where when they are generated, there are 2 forms of notes. There are personal notes for yourself that you can add to the page sort of as a study guide. And then this is where you can see them and jump to them. But also notes can be treated as community notes, and they are essentially conversations. They are discussion threads. I'm sorry, like I mentioned earlier, this is a brand new course and I don't have any to show you, but when there have been notes that have been added by anybody that are meant for the entire class, you can see them here as a student. But this is also where you see your own personal notes. Assignments is the collection of everything that generates a score. So when the students say, yeah, but what's due and when, this is the easiest way for them to see that at a glance. Explorations are those full page immersive sort of contextualization activities. They're a lot like labs, and they help students apply what they have been learning in the module or the unit, I should say, and in one larger synthesis activity. And deliberate practice is where you can go for extra practice that applies to any of these modules and their subtopics. Any questions about the navigation and what these components are? We're heading to the top of the hour and going to be wrapping up soon. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, if you are delivering in the LMS, then this link is all you need. Just direct students to that. It will usher them through the process of enrolling in the course. They don't have to create an account. They don't have to remember a password. It is single sign-on, and all of their scored activities are going to pass back into the LMS gradebook for them. But if you are delivering via direct delivery, then you have a slightly different interface. You are here in a on your instructor dashboard, and instead of clicking this link to create your course, you are clicking create a new section, and you will choose Real Chem again from that interface of curricula that are available to you. Once Real Chem 2 is available, we will also put that into that interface, but it hasn't been published yet. So I created this earlier. Actually, I added myself to it earlier. This is what it will look like in direct delivery. It's the same interface for the managed course page, except that you don't have the same LMS connectivity controls down here under scoring. And you are going to need to, on the section details, you're going to need to make sure that registration is open and that your course requires enrollment. This is so that students can't enter the course anonymously. You need to be able to tie their data to their account. And so you will click registration open and requires enrollment and save it. And then over here, you will invite students. And this link, you can create one that what you do is you create this link. This is not automatically here. You'll click, I want to create a new link that expires after 1 day. Does it expire after 1 week? Section after the section starts. Probably don't want to do after section starts, because then add drop students wouldn't be able to use that link because it would be disabled. So generally, I recommend you use section end. So I'm creating a new link that expires at the section end. You can see that it's going to end December 31st. So you copy this, and this is what you paste in your LMS as the enrollment link. Students will follow that. It will walk them through creating an account and confirming that they intend to join this course, the one that you have created for yourself and for your students. And then they will land on that same homepage that we saw earlier. It will look just like this to the students, and they will be able to start the course or jump over to the Learn page and start digging around if they like. I wouldn't recommend you continue to use that enrollment link as the sort of re-entry point every time. It will work just fine because they can sign in on that page, but instead I would recommend you give them the actual page here for students, which is just Proton. So I'll put that in the chat. But that's yeah, I will. Here you go. So here's the link for when you return to the material, return to the main login page rather than the enrollment page. So that's those are the basics. We went over setting up your course, configuring it in the order that makes the most sense. Went over some assessment settings, how to do scheduling and assessment settings and dates and exceptions, and some advanced gating. The LMS connection for your gradebook, and then how to get started with your students when you're delivering in an LMS or delivering via direct delivery. Happy to hang on if we have more questions, but if not, that's going to be everything. And we will wrap up the recording and ship that off to you guys as soon as it's available.
Thank you very much, Al.
You got it. You got it. I hope
Thank
this was
you.
helpful. Yeah, no problem. No problem.
Sorry, I do have a question. I don't know if you covered this already. Is there
Sure.
any part of this that we're able to add questions? I know there was like an add section type thing. Is that what that is? Or is there another way that I can create my own question, for example?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
We're working on that feature now, but at the moment we do not have a way to author anything where to contribute new material to an existing instantiation of a course.
Okay.
Once the RealChem project is completed, like all of the authoring is done, because this is a long-running project funded by the Gates Foundation. It's taking a while. Once that sort of like stamp is done and RealChem is like a done product, we will be able to provide clones to folks who want to customize it.
Okay.
So down the line, we could have two sort of paths that you could take. One where we introduce a new feature that lets you update the sort of canon version. So you would build this off the shelf version, and then you could tinker and customize it the way you want with new questions or removal of questions or whatever you want. Or we can set you up with the sort of more permanent process, which would be giving you your own version of RealChem that you would own, and you would be able to update and customize as you see fit. And then that would be something that is repeatable. You would be able to create your own template that every semester you can control. You can build with that, and it is your version, and you don't have to make those per course changes each time you wanted to. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay.
And is there any kind of AI element? What's the word?
Yeah.
There's a term. What Alex uses. What's it called?
So we have there are two forms of AI in the course. One is called Dot, and it's an assistant. It is meant to provide the student with help with their schedule, to help them remind them of where they encountered things in the course. It is not designed to give them answers to the questions within the course, though they will, the research shows that they're going to use it for that. So be prepared for that. That is one tool, and it's at the bottom corner of each of the pages. Let me see if I can show you that real quick again. So if I am, sorry, I'm going to have to jump back into this from within the course, or from within Canvas. So when you see the course as a student, down here is Dot. So you can ask Dot, what's my next assignment? And she will, she'll answer what's coming up and give you a link to it. But there are also new activities called AI activation points, where the authors have baked in the ability to employ AI if you choose to. I don't have any of those to demonstrate here. I would recommend you bring those up in one of the instruction focused workshops that are coming up if you're going to attend one.
Okay.
And if you're not able to, then we can arrange for some demonstrations to make sure that you get, the help you need. But I'm not really well versed in how they work, but there are questions that they are activated by the student if they want to employ it. And so the question itself incorporates the use of AI in order to answer the question.
Okay.
And that's it.
Okay. And then last question, I'm so sorry.
No,
Is
that's
there any adaptive kind of feature to this, or are students getting the same? So for example, I have an assignment, 10 questions, they're getting the same kind of 10 questions, or, you know,
it doesn't adapt to their
level?
proficiency or their level. No,
Okay.
no. What it does is it adapts to if it has been programmed as a question that has different variables in it, they will get different questions. But I'm not sure if there are places we have a feature called branching where, you know, it's an if then sort of pathway where if they get it wrong, then you can deliver, you know, sort of more elementary scaffolding questions. I don't know if this course employs those, but I can say that the explorations are adaptive in that they let you go through different pathways and choose choose different paths, and they, you know, certain paths will have more or fewer questions based on what you do answer correctly and incorrectly. I do believe that they use branching. So there are some students who, if they get certain questions wrong, will actually end up having more questions because there is a sort of scaffolding effect where they're delivered remediation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You got it. So sorry for going over, folks. I appreciate you hanging with us. If there are more questions, I'm still here to answer those. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up.
I have a concern. The gentleman, Jose Leon, that you gave me the information to contact, he's saying I'm not the right person. Should I look for someone else or?
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's not, you know, you'll need to get in touch with whoever manages your LMS and ask them how to get visibility to Taurus, because that's entirely within their
Okay.
control.
So what I'm asking is like what I'm asking for the name that I'm asking is the Taurus, right? Not the OLI. Or
Well,
is OLI
I don't know what they have called it. They can name it anything, but
Okay.
it is in the instructions. We recommend that they call it OLI Taurus.
Okay.
Doesn't mean that they did, and
Mhm.
I can't see into the LMS to see what title they gave it.
Okay.
All right, Sarah. Yes.
I don't know how to articulate this. I'm just still very lost in general in real chem. Like I'm not understanding, like it's not very linear for me. Like, okay, there's the learn activities, there's the assignments, there's the explorations. How do I, how, where do students go to get started? Like what's the map? What do you
Sure.
click first and then click next and then click next? And
So it is perfectly linear through the learn interface. Learn
okay.
is what we call, you know, it's capital T, capital C, the course. Okay.
Okay.
It is page 1 through page 300 or however many there are. And there's a next page at the bottom of each page, and it's linear and it just goes from one end to the other. Those other navigation points are meant to be places that aggregate topics or content of interest. So assignments is just an aggregated view of particular scored pages in the course that you would reach in a natural linear fashion if you went page by page.
So
It's
I
just
would, I'd be
just a list
assigning
of,
the learn. The learn is what the students would click on.
Yep.
And they would just do those linearly. And
Yep.
some of those are assignments and some of them are explorations. They're just all built into the learn.
right.
Okay.
So everything in Taurus is one of 3 page types. They are practice pages, which are just standard issue regular pages that have either no interactions on them, like an intro page, or they have practice activities. So that's one page type. The other page type is scored, which is an assessment, a checkpoint. Okay. And the other page type is adaptive. And those are the checkpoint, or I'm sorry, going to make you confused. Those are the explorations, but they are assembled in a linear fashion. Most pages are practice. Some of them are explorations, which are adaptive, and some of them are checkpoints, which are scored, but they're all just in order and numbered. And the explorations are some of those pages, and that explorations view is just an aggregation of them. And the assignments page is just an aggregation of the scored pages.
So the learn is essentially the lesson plan.
Yep.
The unit 1 module already put together what I want you to read.
Yep.
There's some
if you go to learn, you'll
problem.
see here's unit 1, here's unit 2, here's unit 3, and you can choose whether you like that gallery view or whether you like the outline view. And if you don't even want to use that, you can go to the schedule page, which is literally all the pages just in order with no fancy presentation of any kind. There's no
the schedule page.
It's in the navigation menu. It's called schedule. Are you in a course right now?
I am.
Okay. Maybe it only I might be forgetting.
I don't have that schedule tab.
It probably only appears then when a schedule has been applied. I'm sorry, I forgot. So do you see this?
Yes.
Am I showing the right page? Am I showing Safari?
Okay. I'm seeing that. I'm seeing your screen share where it says schedule. Mine just says learn and then notes. I don't.
Okay. So I'm sorry, that's because there isn't a schedule. And so in that case, the learn and outline view gives you all of the pages in order if you expand them. So here's page, unit 1, page 1, 2, and 3. And then
how do I create, can I create a schedule? Will I get that tab?
Yes, that was here on manage.
Okay.
And scheduling.
Okay.
So this is what we call the soft schedule.
Yes. Okay.
And the hard schedule, the actual availability and due dates, you can set through this interface. It's just kind of a pain to dig down to each one of those pages. And so using assessment settings is much easier. So each of the, you can just jump right to it without having to dig down into those strata.
So is this how the students view it? What do they see?
They see this.
Just
the schedule. And so learn is capital T, capital C, the course. This is where
that's where I should direct students to go to learn.
This is where the pages are and the activities are and everything in the course. It is an online linear book of numbered pages that are in units and in modules. Modules are the containers inside, just like chapters.
Okay.
Okay. And there are 2 presentations to the learn page. There is this gallery view. And if you don't like it because it's confusing to you, there is the outline view. This is the exact same material, just presented differently, stripped of the pretty pictures and the tiles, and just in a scrollable format. These are the pages, the page numbers, literally the page numbers in order. Just like a book.
And so I could tell, like if I was a student, I would think I need to go to assignments to access my assignments, but I should just tell them go to learn and do it linearly.
Well, that depends on the language that you use.
Yeah.
We use assignments because it means something is due and must be submitted. If you're talking about my assignment is to read something, then yes, you're not going to want to use that. You're not going to want to use the OLI parlance in that case. You're going to want to say, by the end of week 3, finish doing all of the reading and all of the practice inside of units 1 through 3. And they will not go to assignments for that because that isn't an assignment. An assignment in OLI parlance is a thing you submit, a thing that generates a score. And reading the material does not generate a score. it generates a participation metric, but it's not a score.
Right. I think that's where I get confused, because to me, an assignment is something I tell you to do.
Okay.
So
In OLI parlance, it's a thing you submit. It is assigned material, assigned, you know, activities, whereas reading is not an assigned activity.
and how do I access? I'm in my course like you are.
Mhm.
How do I get back to that screen where I can schedule?
So clicking on, did you use the student preview?
I don't know.
You likely hit preview as student, which opened up a new tab, because students can't control the course. They can't manage the settings. So you need to go
Okay.
to the previous tab in your browser.
Okay. Okay, this tab. And then, so when I'm in this assessment, you know what? I must still be in. I see course content, students, assessment scores, recommended actions.
That's the overview tab.
Okay.
Click on manage in the banner at the top.
Sorry, I'm really slow. Okay, so under manage,
Yeah.
that's where it is. Okay.
Yep. And partway down are the main links that you'll need. Scheduling and assessment settings is here under curriculum. Customize content lets you rearrange things and remove stuff if you need to. And preview course as student opens up a new tab, which is likely where you were before.
Okay, and then I think maybe you had a link to this earlier, but is there like a step-by-step instruction of this presentation? Like in
Not yet. I'm gonna send that out.
FAQs? Okay,
Send that out.
thank you. I'm just really slow.
It's okay. No problem. And I don't want you to feel like this is it. You know, all right, we're done. I'm pushing you into the deep end here. And I'm turning off my phone.
When are we getting the link for the recording for this meeting?
As soon as it's available and we have crafted the email to send
Okay,
out.
by email, perfect.
Yeah, we'll send it out by email with a few follow-up resources as well, including the link to the OLI community, or the RealChem community.
Okay, I got the OLI tours enabled in my course.
Hey, awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. Was it there all along and you just didn't?
No, it wasn't there. Jose just did it for me. The
Okay.
person who said I'm not responsible then turned around and did it for me and says, okay, I can do this for you. I said, that's all I'm asking for. So it's done.
Great. Okay. That's awesome. So let
Yes.
me make sure that Broward is in that community. And then when you click the link, you add a link to your shell. You as a Broward user should see RealChem 1 in the list. Yeah, Broward College is here. So when you click that link, you should see RealChem as an option.
Well, I'm not that brave. I made an appointment with you and
Okay.
I see you during my appointment. We will click together through the, yes. Thank you so much. Thank you. I
You're very
appreciate it.
welcome.
Yes.
You're very welcome. Thank you for joining today.
Sure.
And like one more time, let me hammer this home. We are still here to help. Anytime you are not bothering us, this is our job.
Thank you.
Okay. So
Thank
let
you
us know
so
how
much.
we can help.
Appreciate it. Yes.
All
Okay.
right.